from 12/6. Do I have a motion to approve those?
To approve the minutes.
Second,
Second.
Dan, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. First on the list was 15 Hawley Street. Have we got that applicant online?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
All
can you
right.
give us a brief summary of what staff's findings were?
Yeah, I don't have a microphone here.
Oh.
Sorry.
15
All
Hawley.
right.
Are we gonna pull 15 Hawley up online so that we can see here in the audience?
Oh, good question.
All right,
Julia,
can you do that?
can we do that as well?
I believe so.
We're testing you right out of the box.
Tell you what.
Take your time.
Yeah.
I forgot my binoculars. So maybe next time I'll bring. But I probably could do it through my iPhone. I could probably take a picture and just zoom right in.
I am logging in.
Oh, it
Can
only
you-
goes-
I think they can do it. Okay. I don't think they need me. Let me click on the,
So is this Zoom? You want Zoom?
yeah,
You should be able to share your screen if you had.
they're doing it up there.
Okay.
Sean just doing his box.
I know, I had mine for a while too. He's the applicant. We will. We used to do that pretty regularly. Or it was yours.
All right, I think we're ready. Yeah, I can't find it.
So, while we're waiting, my name's Ken Ellsworth, Chairman of Caud. We'll go around this way, introduce ourselves. Well, actually, start with it. Thank you.
Daniel Need, Caud Commissioner.
Mick Lombardini, Caud Commissioner.
You're applicant, right?
No.
No?
Pat McGinnis, Parks Commissioner. I am a ex officio member.
All right, I think we're ready.
All right, thank you.
Should I say my name?
Hmm?
I say my name too.
Yeah, go ahead and summary. Yep.
Okay, so the first case we have today, we're going to be hearing 15 Hawley Street.
The applicant is the Stone Fox, has proposed the installation of a new freestanding sign along the property. The freestanding sign is a changeable copy sign and is located along the side deck of the building. The sign is positioned in the southeast corner of the deck and has the following dimensions. It's 8 by 4 with a 10.5 depth and a 6.5 foot height. The sign rests on a table. If you want to pull up the picture of the sign, as proposed. There we go. All right.
All right.
If the
And if the
applicant would like to
give
give an
an
overview.
overview.
Yep, can you all hear me? Can you hear me? This is Aaron speaking from the Stone Fox.
There it is. Hold on. Okay.
All right, can you hear me? This is Aaron speaking. Hello, can you hear me? This is Aaron speaking.
Yes, one minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so yep, the sign that's pictured in front of you that would be, it's a changeable copy sign and used for advertising or marketing, basically relaying any kind of specials or special events, whether it's or just general messages from the business to the community for people walking by. It is illuminated. The average things it would say would be, say, a Thursday evening special or a Friday evening special. That's pretty much it. I only plan on using one side, the side that's viewable from the street. There is a reverse side that's viewable from the building, but it would just be the front side that I would plan on using. And that's about it. That's my intended use for that sign.
Can you hear us?
I can now, yes.
Okay, can we have your full name for the record again, please?
Yep, this is Aaron Laughlin, and I am the owner of Stone Fox at 15 Hawley.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yep.
They currently have a sign on their building, correct?
On the building, there is, like, located physically on the building, there's a small sign indicating the Stone Fox on it. Yes.
So this sign is more of a message board as opposed to a identification sign.
Correct.
That's what this is.
Yes.
Message.
Yeah. Comments from the board?
I'm not sure what he said.
Hmm.
I couldn't hear him that well.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear him? Yeah. So what he said, let me reiterate and correct me if I'm wrong. This sign is going to use the one face of it, the face that's on the street. It is a message board used to identify specials or activities coming up or on weekend or whatever night that is. It's not an identification sign.
Correct.
Whatever it is. Right.
Correct.
Have we've never really reviewed any of these, that particular sign in the past. I don't remember.
Yeah, they're not usually in the historic district. That's the issue with that. Juliet, I don't know if there was probably a in the staff report, there was a couple sections there that identified potential issues with this for the guidelines, right?
What are the issues within those guidelines that you found? Because from what I saw, in the code, there's one changeable copy sign allowed that would be, it's not overhanging over a pedestrian walkway. It's on private property because that is leased property that we lease from the building owner. And they're allowed within the commercial district, from my understanding, on the code.
Our
Our
historic design guidelines indicate
indicate
that
that sign design,
scale, color, and material should be complementary to the historic structure. The signage should be placed on a building where they're historically intended to be located. These may include large display windows, transoms, cornice spans, awnings, blank walls over storefront cornice, other unadorned areas of a facade. Signs flush with the building's facade or perpendicular to a storefront are preferred. The sign size should be within the context of the building size. It should not overpower the facade of the structure. Signage should be simple and easy to read. Colors, font, and size are design features, and they should be considered for readability at a distance.
Yeah, so I would say the whole idea of historic character is certainly an issue with what we're seeing here. But this would be the other members.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that historic context is a little bit of an issue. At least our guidelines for that with this type of sign, and even location.
Well, it's a freestanding sign too. It's supposed to be attached to the building, supposed to be complementary to the building. I
Yeah, so-
understand that they're allowed in the commercial district, but this is the historic district, so it's a different, it goes against the guidelines significantly.
Yeah, the second bullet item says typically these areas may include large display windows, transoms, cornice bands, awnings, blank walls over a storefront. That's really where these signs are intended to be located and it's, I guess, placed.
Yeah, and those are identification signs too. If you remember, there was a case where we had someone wanted to advertise the price of muffins and coffee in the window, and that was, again, not identifying the business, that was identifying the contents of what was for sale, and that was rejected as well because it was against the guidelines.
Okay. If it was
So in this
identifying
historic
the
district,
business
the
as
whole
well,
intent is to identify the business in some complementary feature of the building, attached to the building or perpendicular to the building. So these freestanding message boards are not in compliance with the
current
current guidelines,
the historic.
historic current guidelines. It's not a code issue with the city, it's the historic guidelines.
okay. If it was identifying the business as well as almost like a dual purpose, is that kind of switch around that situation? Because I do see a lot of signs, around town, whether it's sidewalk sandwich board or what have you. I not only doing the same purpose of relaying specials or events, but also identifying the business, like come on in, we're open, or half price appetizers this day. Do you know what I mean?
You make a good point, because I know there was a business that did have sandwich boards that they would put out on the sidewalk identifying the daily specials or weekly specials. That was a project that we reviewed as well.
But that sandwich board, is that something that's removed at the end of each day?
It's removed at the end of each
And
day.
it's a freestanding piece of,
It's a freestanding, and it's not lit.
and it's not lit.
Right.
Right. What's the difference between that and what is being proposed here?
So we are more than happy to try to work with you to come up with some kind of identification for what you're trying to do is, advertising your specials and things like that. And probably it may be beneficial to work with staff to determine the best direction for that. So if you make an appointment with Juliet to come in and talk to staff, I think that would be our best bet. So today we don't necessarily have to vote on this. We can table it for him to come back and come up with some options.
Okay.
Or we make a motion that this particular sign does not meet the guidelines.
Well, I would say that the sign doesn't meet the current historic guidelines, but the applicant can come back
Yeah,
with some alternative sign options
Okay.
if he works with staff.
sounded awful close to a motion.
I would say that would be my motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We'll continue to work with you and try to come up with a program that fits the guidelines.
Okay, I do appreciate that. I do have one request, and that is where can I access the historical guidelines specifically that you're speaking about so that one, I can be more knowledgeable, and two, next time I can be more prepared for something that appeases both ends equally.
Julia, can you send him?
The historic design guidelines are available on the City of Binghamton website. We also have copies of the document if you would like us to mail you one, or if you would rather pick it up.
Okay, yep, mail, fine. Will reach out via email if that works.
Yep, that sounds great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, 120 Washington Street.
Leaving, right?
Says 120 on my agenda, or is it 122? Oh, it's both. Okay. Both. Is applicant here for Washington Street? Okay. So typically our policy is, as we just did, if the applicant can't get here, we allow them to call in. If they can't call in or attend, then we hold to the end of the meeting. And if they're still not here,
Yeah.
then it gets tabled. Is that in agreement with the board? Okay. 44 Court Street. Hi, come on down. Do we have a microphone for the applicant? Microphone check. As soon as Juliet gets mic'd up, we'll have her do a summary and then have you have a chance to discuss it. Sure.
All right, then. This case we have is regarding 44 Court Street. The applicant is Becker Nordine. Has proposed installation of a new sign above the commercial storefront of 44 Court Street. There are renderings. Can we pull up that case report? Colin, can we pull up the staff report?
So as a suggestion, which I'm suggesting it to myself as well, as we work out the technical changes with the screen, we might all want to, as Dan did, print out what comes to us, but I said, you couldn't get to it, right? Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Because we could keep going during the face of a technical issue if we had the information in front of us as well. Yeah. Ah, you had an inside man. Okay. Hmm. Well, we might be able to get, move ahead. We'll keep moving a little bit. Would you like to say something in for the application or speaks for itself? And we need your name for the record. And if you hit your microphone, the button right in the front, it'll turn green and you'll be on.
Okay, my name is Bashir Nuruddin. I'm representing 44 Caud Street. My request is a regular sign, unilluminated, just plastic sheets.
Okay. So a couple things that I'd like to hear from the board is, one, in the placement of the sign where it's being placed on the building. Two, the background, solid background color, is a potential concern. The green lettering doesn't affect anything. But those are the two things that stick out to me that we've tried to, correct in the past.
On that comment, I'd say the location, it covers some of like the decorative entablature above the storefront. So, I mean, usually we try and preserve like visuals on those building features. I mean, that's it. And then I noticed there were two different, mine was a Duke Food Mart with like a blue kind of background with small images. And then there was one that looked like this, that was a sort of a beige background. Which of those?
That's the one. This side.
This one?
Yep.
Okay. Because if it's this one, there's a couple other features that just according to our guidelines, historic guidelines, it might not. You might need some adjustment, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Like the colors, font, size, and design features should consider readability at a distance. Signage should be simple and easy to read. Complicated logos and inappropriately scaled graphics on signs should be avoided. So I'd say in that if it's this blue case, there's certainly a lot of like very busy small graphics, and just for like a historic context, we typically prefer something more simple and like more of like a traditional classic design.
And so just as a little bit of a background, you probably picked up on it from the previous application. We have a book of guidelines that the city has adopted that we're required to follow or try to follow the best that we can. And your sign company, I think you have a sign company, they probably weren't aware of some of those things, and we probably could get them some of that information to try to fit into the guidelines a little bit closer. But the general intent is that it's in the historic district, so it wants to be an identification sign, simple, colors being historic in nature, and location on the building being something that may have occurred when the building was, initially constructed or in the past years for that. So we certainly want to make sure that we help you get that sign to identify your business. We just need to make sure we follow a little bit closer within the guidelines of that. Mick, did you have anything else? Okay, all right. So maybe a suggestion in this case is if your sign company would contact the city, or you could contact the city just as the previous applicant, get you a copy of those guidelines, I think they're fairly easy to follow, and a sign company would be able to do you a really great sign that fits in with that historic nature of the building. Okay.
I just have one question.
So do you own the entire storefront along Court Street?
Yep.
So the entire storefront, meaning from that edge of the building,
No, only one side.
just that side?
Yep.
And so the sign that they're proposing is 10 feet by 10 feet wide by 2 feet tall. I know there's side sign guidelines.
Well, there's the
for
size of it,
dimensions.
right?
So I don't know what those are off the top of my head, but that's something that should be reviewed.
Right. So not only what the sign says, the colors of the sign, but there's a size restriction, which is city code for sign ordinance. And they can help you with that as well. And I'm not sure if that's too big or not, but it could be. All right. All right, so who wants to make it? Dan, you want to frame a motion on this?
Okay, I'll frame a motion for 44 Court Street. I guess to table it with, I guess, future consideration and communication with our staff, the city of Binghamton, the guidelines.
Okay, second,
Second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so please contact planning department, Juliet, and she'll help you get this thing worked out and get you up and running with that sign. Okay, thank you. '62 Park Street. Come on up. Thank you.
This case involves the applicant Matthew Duggars. He has proposed a demolition of his garage located at 62 Park Street. Stated that the garage roof has collapsed, the roofing and the structure supporting the roof. The concrete block exterior shows significant deterioration. It was not determined to be a imminent danger, however. So it had to come to Caud for review prior to demolition.
Okay, thank you. Name and if you want to add anything to that.
Matt Joggers, basically, I want to have the option to have the garage demolished if I can't have a new roof put on. And I've had roofers come by and suggest that it just wouldn't make any sense to put a new roof on with the state of the block exterior. I mean, the block exterior is intact. You can't get in or out, but it shows significant deterioration, cracking. Some of the blocks have eroded over the years. The front part, I don't know, my parents bought the house in '47, so the front part predates that. The back part dates from the mid-'50s.
Okay.
I'm basically looking to have the option to have it demolished.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any comments? Okay, we're headed all in the same direction, I believe, right? So I make a motion to declare Caud as lead agency under seeker.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, make a motion to declare this as an unlisted action.
Second.
All in favor? You in favor, Mick? You in favor for unlisted
I'm
action?
in favor, yes.
All right, are you reading today, Maria? On the negative deck?
Ready?
Yep.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use of intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Excuse me. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? Example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. Therefore, propose a negative declaration.
All right, do I have a second for that?
I'll second.
All right, so roll call. We already have Mary Ellen and Dan, so Mick,
Aye.
aye. A motion passed. Dan, you want to do the John's part?
Oh.
You don't have to put a different voice on.
Okay.
You don't have to do it in character.
So criteria for determination of historical significance for demolition. The commission's determination of historical significance shall be based on the following considerations, which are based on the United States Secretary of the Interior Standards for Historic Preservation. 1, if the structure is an outstanding example of a structure or memorial representative of its era, it's either past or present. Or 2, if the structure is one of the few remaining examples of a past architectural style or combination of styles. Or 3, if the structure is associated with a historical person or event of significance to the city, region, state, or nation. In light of these, we don't find any historical significance.
Okay, second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. You now have the option of tearing it down.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and then next on our agenda, we have BLDC would like to present a proposal for banners being hung along Court Street. You guys ready? Oh.
I'm gonna wait for Juliet to
Hi.
get ready. Hi, how are you?
Good.
She can give more context for this app.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Is this on the agenda? This is the one.
This is other business.
Yeah,
other business.
Juliet, could you give some context on why this is under other business as opposed to on the agenda?
Pardon?
Can you give some context on why it's under other business?
Yes. We're now moving on to other business where we have a discussion regarding banner proposals on Court Street by our Binghamton Local Development Corporation.
Yeah, so essentially, hi, I'm Sarah Gloss, I'm Director of Economic Development, Joel Boyd, Assistant Director. You probably know Joel better than me. We are looking to put up 8 banners on light poles between Court Street and State Street. We have an anticipated cannabis business opening on that block in February. We anticipate a significant number of people from outside of Binghamton will be traveling to town. We'd like to, they should know they're in Binghamton, but really highlight the fact that they're in downtown Binghamton. Also, just looking at the polls right now, we're at a part of the year where those polls are not programmed. And so we would like to have the option of putting something up that just is a placemaking opportunity, showing people they're in downtown Binghamton and just demonstrating that there is investment in our downtown, especially in our kind of post-still COVID era where we're having trying to have a resurgence of our downtown area. So that being said, we put together a banner design throughout 2021. The city of Binghamton, the village of Endicott, and the village of Johnson City all worked together with the county to develop a branding for the I district, as it's known, which is a large part of downtown, encompassing from the river to the south, all the way to Henry Street. I think it's bounded on the east by the Brandywine and on the west by the river. So it's quite a large area. These colors and fonts came from that branding exercise. They're consistent across the three, what's known as I districts, with this US 11 Court Street corridor, Court Street to Main Street corridor that goes through Binghamton, Endicott, and Johnson City, being kind of the linchpin between all three areas. So this was an effort to, one, be sensitive to the historic nature of this block, to be in line with that branding effort as the other municipalities also seek to implement them. And three, be a placemaking and community revitalization initiative for the influx of visitors that we're hoping to see. We wanted to hear what you guys thought. They're a little bit different than what you might expect to see in downtown, especially with the slightly more vibrant colors than you might see in a downtown. But the reason we decided to go in this direction was, one, in line with those branding exercises, two, directly to the north of this is our downtown arts district, which encompasses both Plum and Lime in its design. So it's supposed to be complementary to that effort. And finally, we were looking at other banners on Court Street, one of which is the Courtyard Market banner that does have that yellow and a very similar blue-purple color on it. These will not likely be up at the same time, but we looked at this as a precedent for those colors being in that part of town. So happy to hear any feedback. Our next step would be to take this to a design professional. I just did this in PowerPoint. I am by no means a design professional. Get this in the hands of somebody who can really help us make this an even better version of what we're proposing. But do you have any other things you want to add? Covered it? Yeah. But we want to be sensitive to the historic nature of the street.
So a couple questions. During your process of developing the signs, did you review our historic guidelines?
So Joel is very well versed in them, and he's been advising me and has told me explicitly that these aren't exactly in line with our historic preservation guidelines. But what we've done is, I will say, we started with a much brighter and busier design and have toned it back to this version to try to be more in line with what is in the historic preservation guidelines. This is the Courtyard Market signs that are already put up in downtown from May to October.
Banners for the farmers market.
So this is just what we were looking at as a precedent sign. The other sign is the one that we're talking about today.
The blue.
Right. And these only go on where the farmer's market is, that street.
So it's on
Correct,
Court
yeah,
Street
those-
between,
Those could go on Court Street. Pretty much fly between state line.
Just to
And
point
for the
people in the
summer
right
months.
direction.
And what Sarah had here, again, it tied into a county initiative. And I think she was also trying to have some sympathy to the designs that are up on State Street, the block of between Henry and Lewis. And I assume this body reviewed that signage and a lot of the street decor and so forth for that. So, I mean, has a little sympathy with that. I mean, probably you got always with the downtown, you got you want to reflect the history, but you also want to express the new ideas that you want to invite to the downtown. You know, say it's reflected in the incubator, or new business and so forth. We're just kind of in a hurry up here because of the state is authorized cannabis dispensary, and there's one that's going to be opening up in Cornwall. Anticipated where these have been done in other neighboring states like Massachusetts, when the first opened one, it's just been mobbed, lots and lots of people. So our thought was to try to improve a little bit of the ambiance in that area. So people are standing there in line to get to go to this place, on that day, that they'll have something nice to look. Improve it a little bit. Some of the
Can I just say something maybe sort of on or off the record? Not that I'm against cannabis, that's not what I'm saying. But the premise behind this is because people are going to be traveling to our area because we're opening up a hemp or cannabis shop in Court Street. That's the premise?
The premise is that we anticipate thousands of new people in our downtown.
Because
Yes,
of,
that
because
is the
of
impetus, yes.
the shop, right?
But the bigger thing that we're focusing on is the sheer number and the newness. Will likely be the first in upstate New York. Cannabis is currently not allowed based on the lawsuit in Syracuse, Buffalo, or Rochester, 3 major metropolitan areas we anticipate will be drawn to Binghamton in ways that they may not be for other events.
Does anybody else understand the premise that I'm trying to get to?
Yeah, no, I know. It's,
I'm not against cannabis
It's
at
the-
all. It's
the-
the idea that, you had to come up with this sort of concept for this particular.
It
um,
was for an I-district branding. correct?
Yeah, the
We just-
impetus for
Right,
the
it is
actual
for the I
brand.
district branding, but they've mentioned,
Yes, it's a major tourism draw
Correct.
and quite honestly, it could be a major festival we're hosting in downtown. It could be Luma, it could be.
I
a variety
understand
of
that,
other
but maybe
things.
that's something that you should have maybe presented a little bit differently. And again, I'm not against cannabis. And I'm not against hemp, and I'm not against having that in our downtown
Mhm.
or in our community. That's not what I'm saying. So don't twist my words around.
Mhm.
I'm just saying maybe it's just a better way to sort of present bringing people into downtown, not just for one particular venue, but for multiple venues, right? Across the board, whether it's for
Yeah.
the farmer's market or it's for the show, the Luma Light show or something like that. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I will say this is part of a broader effort by our office to encourage people to come and stay in our downtown, eat at our eateries, shop at different shops. We're going to be communicating with the businesses in downtown about potential traffic and parking issues, how they can mitigate those with their existing customers, as well as how they might be able to capture some of the market share of people coming into our downtown. Our hope is that we do not have people drive in, go to one establishment, get in their cars and drive away. We'd like them to stay in downtown, and this is part of what we're anticipating will be creating a welcoming atmosphere so that they park once, walk around downtown, see that Binghamton is investing in its streetscapes in downtown, as well as the complementary efforts to communicate with businesses to develop advertising, complementary, perhaps advertising specials, maybe hours if folks don't open during the hours this is open, they might consider opening to try to capture some of that market share. And specifically, we'll be talking to the businesses that are adjacent to this, just to talk about potential issues they might run into and the opportunity this presents. But it's a broader downtown effort. This is just one piece
Yeah.
that fits into. So I appreciate that because it gives us the opportunity to talk about the broader,
But
broader
I
project.
will tell you from experience that you are going to get people that are just going to come in, they're
Absolutely,
going to park, they're going to grab what they want to grab, and they're going to get out.
absolutely.
and-
But if
and
we can give
probably it's
them
more
any
like 50%
opportunities
of
to
that.
stay.
But this also hopefully helps with if we get the Great American Car Race again, if we get
And that's the hope is
get
that
more
these could be
music downtown,
used.
the festivals, a couple different new festivals.
The reason we
Caddy
went
Fest.
more generic, and I apologize for interrupting you, is exactly for that purpose, so that we could use them at other times of the year. Joel was explaining that these polls are programmed for different events at different time of year, but right now you look out there and there's nothing on them. So opportunities that we have to put these up during other parts of the year to really give that placemaking, that sense of I'm in downtown Binghamton
Oh,
and
yeah.
that means
No, I
something.
agree. We do.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
No,
Those go back to the Fourth Street.
Select.
We really haven't used.
no, I was gonna say, I know it's been a while. I remember when we did them, but something nice.
All right, so not quite catching everything. Excuse me, sorry.
I talk fast. I apologize.
No, that's okay. So I'm looking at blue signs there, right? But I heard advertisement for specific businesses. Is the advertisement going to be on these signs?
No, so that's part of the broader effort that we are working on out of this office. This is just a piece of that. So this is just specifically to advertise downtown Binghamton as
Okay.
a destination, as a
Right.
As a commercial
and
district.
I thought I was understanding that, but then I lost it when you were doing the advertising. So,
no problem.
so now that it just outside the scope the thought is advertising for specific businesses and other businesses don't get advertised for. How do you deal with that?
So
Like-
we won't be doing any of the advertising. We're going to be reaching out to businesses to let them know about the opportunity associated with this potential influx of folks to the community. and offering the generic services we offer to all businesses, advice, support. At this point, probably not loans through our BLDC, but that's a program that we have generally that we offer.
But there's
So
only,
it's
only so many polls, right? So not everybody's gonna get on. So it'll be a first come,
Right.
first serve type thing.
So there won't be any advertising on the polls. So
Okay.
this is one piece of a larger project. So all this, the scope of this is just these particular banners on light poles in downtown, but it's part of our larger effort with economic development to support businesses downtown. So
Right.
this is just specifically a place-making downtown beautification effort
Okay.
as part of a larger, what will ultimately be mostly an education campaign between us and the downtown businesses.
So the next phase may come more into Caud guidelines as well then, right? The advertising for various businesses or whatever you're highlighting.
Yeah. And that brings up, and I don't want to derail this conversation, but there are branding and marketing guidelines for cannabis businesses that may need to be folded into Caud conversations in terms of what they're allowed to have on their signage. And that's something that we could forward to this commission if it's of interest for future consideration.
And what I've been trying to do is encourage things, initiatives such as yours to get involved with Caud a little bit before it comes to the actual meeting so we can have input at the beginning of it. Some of the members may even want to sit on some conversations that you're having to begin with. It'll just make it go a lot faster than waiting to the end of it.
Yeah, and we certainly apologize for coming to you at the last minute. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind with this effort and hearing from the state that things have been approved on an expedited basis. So we
Yeah.
certainly appreciate the opportunity to come before you today.
Okay, any other comments?
Didn't we have, if my memory serves me right, didn't we have something where we advertised businesses at one point? We had flags up?
Yeah, we did citywide program.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that's when we did it.
We've also done radio ads.
At this point, it was just we're trying to do some display thinking. At least
That was,
part
that,
of Fourth Street.
that was a nice initiative
Just doing
though.
one panel of it, not two. So I mean, it's so.
Yeah, yeah, a good start, but then I remember us I remember doing that.
Certainly, we can
and
put a
talking
whole
to
lot.
business.
I mean, I personally, my opinion, I like the signs. I like that you introduced kind of that mustard yellow, which is sort of a historic color, but I also like the vibrant, it's like a plum.
Mhm. Like a dark plum, yeah.
Because I think that sort of addresses like the 2023, right? And it's not 1923, it's 2023. So
That was
for me personally, I like the banners. I like where they're placed. I like the idea of introducing those to downtown. It's almost like a wayfinding thing for people that are coming in. Probably should have been done 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So me personally, I like that.
Yeah, I like the simplicity of it.
Yep.
It highlights our architecture, actually.
Yep, I like the architecture too. And I like that's the courthouse there.
And I will give Joel credit. I gave him like 8 designs, many of which were much busier than this, and he gently guided me towards the more simplistic
Yeah, no,
design.
this is great.
Somebody want to form a motion?
So are we forming a motion today?
Juliet, what's
Um,
the,
That you feel you have enough information.
Is there a,
It's only for these signs, right? It's not for
Just-
the market signs.
no,
correct, that was just an example of a sign that's already been approved that has some complementary colors.
so I guess there was one case before and I don't remember, does anybody else remember, does this have to be an official agenda item for us to take
Thought so.
action?
I thought so. Yeah,
I mean, that's
because
what
this
we were
is
told
usually other business. We don't
once
vote on other
before, it's a
business.
discussion,
Yeah,
right?
it's a discussion. Correct.
Right.
So it would have to be placed on an official agenda for us to make a motion and vote for it. Not through other business.
My understanding was that today's meeting was simply to get input from the commission on these to make sure we were moving in the right direction. So we did not engage a design professional and spend money when there was an idea that was totally incongruous with what the commission wanted us to do.
Right.
Okay. All right, so it's not a motion, it's a general discussion and we're in agreement with
We're in favor.
We're in favor of it.
Yeah.
Tito?
Temporary signage is typically is not subject to card review, so the purpose is to get feedback from the board since it is in a historic district.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, I'm in favor of the sign and the banner. I like the simplicity. I like the colors.
So Tito, it brings up another question. So temporary signage is not COD purview?
Yeah, what triggers card review is the sign permit process and public temporary signage isn't subject to a sign permit. And so it doesn't officially trigger card review. But this is a sensitive area. It's in our historic district, a highly visible area. So we wanted to make sure we got feedback from COD on the design.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Right.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all that we can do then. We're in favor. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Nice job.
Thank you so much.
Any other business?
Yeah.
No?
Yep.
Comments from the board, anything? So what we just discussed?
120.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for 120 Washington Street. We need a motion to table for lack of
I'll make
applicant
You
appearance.
got it, Dan?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make a motion to table 122 Washington Street until we get a representative here.
Second, please.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.